On June the 6th, 2024, we have one of the best new moons in the sign of Gemini that I have seen in a long time. It is bejeweled by Venus, who is conjunct this new moon at exactly 16 degrees of Gemini. And even more importantly, we have the Asteroid Panacea, which offers a remedy for that which ails us, the simple cure for something that is wrong in the world at large and in your life as well. Add to that fixed star Rigel, a very powerful star, the foot of Orion in the constellation of Orion. And that star brings benevolence, riches, happiness, glory, renown, honors, etc. So I really can't say too much about how perfectly positive this finally is, because as you know, we've been going through what most of us would consider difficult times in the world, and some of us in our own lives as well. A new beginning, a new moon, a new start is showing up in our skies on June the 6th and will unfold in the 6 months that follow as we approach the full moon of December 15th, 2024. So don't expect everything to drop into your lap, riches, glory, and luck on the day of the moon, right? Especially because it's a dark moon. It's planting a seed on June the 6th for unfurling wings of goodness, and particularly also positive, other than Venus hugging this lunation, is that we have Lord Mercury, the planetary ruler of the sign of Gemini, at home in his domicile, overseeing, midwifing, or watching over a lunation in his own kingdom. This kind of lends itself to saying the master is in the house, the king is in his throne, watching this new moon take shape in Gemini. And it's going to be very positive when it comes to issues of wars among brothers and neighbors, because Gemini is the sign of neighbors and brothers and the two twins, the mortal and immortal twins. And therefore, this also looks like, hey, panacea, the remedy for everything, is in a positive position to support a turnaround narrative in wars and conflicts that are raging in our world today. Most of us will think right away today, of course, the ongoing Ukraine-Russia problem or war, as well as the Gaza-Israel conflagration as well. Now, let's get going and break this down a bit. I'll be showing you the sky shortly. I really want to say that if anything I could offer as some general keywords for this moon is something like ride the wave of what is good and what is lucky, and what wants to truly happen. I remember a girlfriend years ago saying something like, something good is always trying to happen, as a refrain for times of calamity. And I do believe at a deep level, something good is always trying to happen. I wrote a poem years ago about walking into a spider web in one morning, and I felt really bad. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it was covering the front door of my house, and I walked right through it. And I felt like all of that work that spider had put into creating this beautiful giant web in front of my door, my threshold. And I wrote a poem about that. And I think I'll put a link to that poem below, because if you're ever in a time in your life where things seem to be really difficult and you think that maybe something is going wrong, then maybe this poem can help you as well. It was very helpful for me to write that poem. This was way back in like 2009. Now, the other thing I want to say is that I have several books about the fixed stars. We're going to be addressing a couple of the experts on that star. This is Oscar Hoffman's book, for example. Ooh, it's a nice color match for my background, isn't it? Oscar Hoffman, Fixed Stars. All right. And I like the way he writes. And I will give us one warning about the idea of this particular star being so blessed. He's talking about when you're born with the moon conjunct the star, not necessarily what's happening in the sky, but moon Rigel can lead to some difficult circumstances. And so he does say people born with the moon can worry, be disappointed, have injuries to life and fortune. I don't want to scare you. I mean, Rigel is sitting at 16 degrees of Gemini. So if your moon is there, sure, in the comments below, let me know. How has that been to have your moon on Rigel when you were born? So, there's a bit of, darker stuff from the ancient texts, like ill health or death of wife or mother, if it's on your moon when you were born. All right. Okay. But otherwise, every bit of literature I can find talks about the star. Ptolemy says the nature of both Jupiter and Mars. Now, Jupiter is a greater benefic. Mars, of course, working with Jupiter can bring positive prosperity, judicial wise actions, decisions from knowledge and goodness. So there's a quality of Jupiter Mars coming together, right? The judge is with, the noble warrior, that we might expect this also to have some overlaps of good things in the world. All right. Hopefully that helps. What about the Sabian symbol? I almost forgot to tell you. The Sabian symbol, it cracks me up, guys. The Sabian symbol is a head of health, a head of health, a head of health, dissolved into the head of mentality. I can't even believe that. I mean, I don't know what to make of that. What do you guys think? The head of health dissolved into the head of mentality. So in the book, I like to use the Sabian Symbols, A Screen of Prophecy by Diana E. Roche. The book is in my description box below. She has some key words for this. First of all, she says the theme is maturation and the key word is development. And she uses the word stepping stone. She calls them the stepping stones for this particular Sabian symbol are adulthood, development, maturation, growth, evolution, completeness, wholeness, well-roundedness, self-integration, well-being, and wisdom. Now, I'll go with the wisdom with the head of health dissolved into a head of mentality, in the sense that also with this particular moon, we have Jupiter sitting in the sign of Gemini, along with Mercury, along with the sun, along with the moon, along with the asteroid Panacea, along with the fixed star Rigel. Therefore, wisdom is a Jupiter word. Okay, so Jupiter can bring wisdom to things to do with the Gemini theme in our charts, and that's one whole sign house in your sky. Did I say hi, hello, and who I am? My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac, the whole sign house system. And if you want more of this all signs content, I put at least 20 to 30 videos out every month, and they're always all signs. So please check it out. Get that like button, a punch, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See if what I'm up to is what you want to be a part of. I do something called the mundane astrology, which is the world event astrology, and we'll cover that as well. But I will say this about the world event astrology. We're not going to go too deeply into it this time. I'm just going to overview how this may play out regarding the nation of Israel, Vladimir Putin's natal chart, and Joe Biden, Netanyahu, and Israel, that kind of thing, but just in a very general way. And then we're going to go into your sign. There's just so much goodness in this particular moon, and I really want to spend time for you on that. Plus, I did oh my God. I did a video for my last lunation video, and I spent maybe more than half of it talking about world events that tanked my algorithm like this, kapoom. So I not that I won't do mundane astrology, but I have to have a balance between the world events, which I love, and I also want to help you navigate your life, time your best life with using astrology, So I'm pre-recording this on May the 15th, 2024. So anything that's going on in the world after that, I don't know about it. I'm recording this for my Patreon community today, who gets early access ad-free content. And they're getting this one quite a week ahead or 2 weeks ahead before it comes into YouTube land for you guys. Renn Butler, in his book, The Archetypal Universe, will talk about the moon Venus elements in a positive way, being about grace and harmony, gentleness and sensitivity, soothing, cuddling, enjoyment, and bonding at home. It's a cozy Venus moment. Moon is comfort, Venus is pleasures. At the worst of the dark side, you could be slothful, lazy, indulgent, that kind of thing. You don't want to get off the sofa. Now, this is just a day that the moon is with Venus, right? And this could be true for you. I want you to really think about just simply this. Venus is a fairy godmother. She's sitting on top of a moon. She's sitting with the asteroid Panacea, the remedy for everything, the cure for everything. Sometimes it's delineated by astrologers to do with ethical issues regarding cures, but also just simply what is it that ails you or the world that needs to be fixed? Okay, that's the simplest way to say what Panacea is up to. And also in another wonderful book about the astrology of stars in the sky, I also often resource the wonderful Elizabeth Hazel book, The Little Book of Fixed Stars. And she has a few choice words for the star Rigel in the constellation of Western Tropical Gemini at 16 degrees. And this is, of course, is in Taurus and sidereal or the real-time sky. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's totally okay. Rigel's at 16 or 17, depends, it moves about a degree every 70 years. And I believe it's currently at 17 Gemini. Okay, but she says in this, and it's a very bright star. Okay, it's got a lot of like wattage. She says it is a left leg, and in other books they say it is the foot of Orion spelt, Orion and Orion spelt the warrior. In Arabic lore, al-Jaz and other people say it's called Rigel, even though it looks like Rigel, Rigel, the pronunciation could be Rigel. Okay. In early Arabic lore, this was a term for black sheep with a white spot in its mid body. And she says shares knowledge, educator, mass communications, vanguard of trends, zeitgeist, disperses information to improve society. Well, of course, it improves the society by dispersing information because information is a Gemini word, even though the sidereal star is in Taurus. So maybe we can get some dispersion of a panacea that is a remedy for what ails us, that helps cure a problem in the world at large and in our own lives as well. I'm going to open up the charts, show you the sky, roll through your sign. If you would like to know more about what I do off this platform, Patreon is the place to meet me to get things, more intimate, weekly, monthly Zoom calls, 3 a month, depends on your tier. You can have up to 3 with me, things to do with like my courses. I give you 2 free courses for trying me out, by the way. It's Chiron, the Key to Purpose, and Synastry, Are You My Person? If you want to just give me a try and see if you like what I'm doing, you get to keep those courses for free. So come over to Patreon, give me a try, and let's get rolling. Let's start off with the chart so you guys can see what is actually happening in the sky. All right, guys, let's get rolling and start sharing the story of the sky together. I'm just going to open my window. I'll be right back. I know I should have done that before I started. I cannot get the right temperature in my home in the summer. Oh, that's better. I would just say it was like hitting like a boiling point. All right, so bottom line, let's start off with Aries and no, sorry, I'm not doing the signs. I'm talking about the world still. I promise not to do too much, I promise. Okay, long story short, whew. Hot flash, I think. What we're going to start off by paying attention to here is we're going to notice, all right, that we have in the sky a moon at 16 degrees of Gemini, and it's at 16 degrees and 17 minutes. For you astrology nuts, that's a 15, and a 15 becomes a 6, which is the lovers. Well, the lovers are two in a tarot cards. It's a devil, 2 people shackled, a man and a woman. To the devil is 15 in the major arcana, and in the lovers card, of course, it's the lovers. And there's an essence of 2 people, 2 humans in the storyline. Of course, as I mentioned, the sign of Gemini is a sign of brothers and neighbors, the mortal twins, etc. And you'll often see it play out in world events where neighbors are arguing, fighting, or having a dispute, including neighboring countries, not just like literally next door neighbor. And what we have going on in this part of the sky is we have Venus, a greater benefic, who is also the goddess of peace, peace treaties, harmony, and goodness. Lesser benefic, goodness, harmony, peace, positivity, friendliness. She's good. She's a good girl. She's sitting here with this moon on top of it. And on top of all of that, the moon, the sun, and Venus, I call it bejeweled by Venus. This is a Venus bejeweled new moon in Gemini. We see Rigel at 17 degrees in our modern time frame, at 17 degrees of Gemini. Now, I told you what Rigel was about. It's the foot of the Orion in the constellation of Orion. We all know Orion's belt, those 3 stars. There are a lot of lucky stars and just stars in general in the constellation of Orion, and this is his foot, your best foot forward foot in that part of the sky. So in some sense, there is some way in which maybe we as a world would like to step forward, to take a step. It's a foot, right? It's a star in the foot of Orion. So we want to take a step forward. Do we want to move forward in a new way that involves peace, that involves a panacea? That's what that is. That's panacea, the remedy, the cure-all, etc. We need a cure, a remedy, step forward into peace. Mercury, he's here. What's he doing? Good old Mercury is in domicile. He owns the real estate of Gemini. He's watching over the moon that's happening in his particular territory. This is auspicious because he has some dominion over it and can bring some relevance and positivity and strength. And what does Mercury do? He communicates, guys. He's a messenger of the gods, but he just rules. Talking, texting, emails, phone calls. In Gemini, 2 forces are needing to talk. We call that negotiations. We call Venus peace. We'll call this peace negotiations in the new moon that starts on June the 6th. Will there be a solid peace deal on June the 6th? I very much doubt it. But look to world events in the new cycle to indicate, instead of an actual deal, the seeds of, the beginning of, the evidence for a potential resolution of the war in the Middle East, a way out of the mess, right? And Jupiter is here. Jupiter rules divine justice, wisdom. He's sitting with Mercury, conjunct Mercury. So Mercury's not just a messenger, negotiator, deal maker, a communicator. Mercury is also with the god of the divine order, how to bring goodness from chaos. And so what Jupiter can do is act very much like that wisdom and knowledge quotient in whatever is happening in the part of the sky for you and me that represents Gemini. I'm an Aquarius rising. It's my fifth house of children. It's my romance house. It's my creativity and entrepreneurial house. It's all very, very good. Now, let me ask you, do you know which country's seventh house is Gemini, which is a house of open enemies? It's the United States of America. So United States is a Sag rising 12 degrees over here. This makes this 16-degree moon bedecked by Venus at the point of the descendant of the United States of America. And the descendant above the horizon in particular, it's going to be what they would call their most visible or open enemies. And I think that would be Russia, China, and Iran. If the United States was to tell you, and the State Department gave my top 3 open enemies, it would be Russia, China, and Iran, and probably in that order. And in that sense, we're probably going to say that United States of America is dealing with something going on with one of its open enemies or adversaries that looks very positive. Okay, that's all I can tell you about that. Now, it could be nothing that the United States is necessarily a part of, right? Maybe they're witnessing Russia figure out what to do to figure out what to do with the situation in Ukraine. Maybe we're seeing some positive developments with Iran. On the day of the moon, no. Over the course of the 6 months that follow. Now, the 2 weeks that follow any moon, new or full, is also quite indicative of what the moon is really about. So watch for those first couple of weeks between the new moon and the full moon we're going to have in Capricorn. Now, okay, we also might want to address another part of the story. For Israel, it is an ascendant in the sign of Libra, and this makes the Gemini part of the story its ninth house. If you're a country, your ninth house is foreign nations and governments. Foreign nations, governments, and their own judicial system are somehow coming to something positive here. Don't know what. Hopefully, it could be, the United Nations would be a ninth house body, a sort of a multinational legal type body, and that would be a ninth house organization, as well as religious institutions, as well as a part of the government that is like not the titular head, not the president, right, or the prime minister, but rather some of the legislative bodies of a government. So when I say legislative bodies, in Canada we have 2 parties, but we also have the legislative bodies, and those are like, the Congress and the Senate in the United States, our parliamentarian system, legislative bodies, and that kind of more back end of government, as well as things like civil service in the government, like the State Department, can be a part of the ninth house of any nation. So keep that in mind. So something good is trying to happen in the nation of Israel. And it looks like it's going to be, again, about probably peace, because it was indeed the war began when we had an eclipse here and Mars conjunct the south node. We are having Mars conjunct the north node over here just before this moon to complete a story to do with war that started in October. This is a wedge, and a wedge is a positive thing. That's not looking, it looks like a doorstopper. That's a bad drawing. So it looks like you're going to have some sort of peace coming through here. And the Mars conjunction to the north node, just so you know, will be happening on May the 18th, 19th, depending on your time zone. I'm recording on the 15th before it happens. Tends to look bad. Mars North Node energy can be things like assassination, shootings, massacres, and calamity in war. And as the day I'm recording, there was an assassination attempt, which is quite common when Mars and Chiron are also together. Gandhi and Martin Luther King were assassinated during a time when Mars was with the Chiron in the north, in the sign of Mars with Chiron in the sign of Aries, with JFK, RFK, and help my brain, guys, RFK and Martin Luther King's assassinations. So assassinations can be Mars North Node, Mars Chiron. This energy is very strong right now. We just had an assassination attempt against the president or prime minister, I don't know which it is, of Slovakia. And so I hope he's okay. He was shot several times as of today. And I've been talking about assassination as a keyword for Mars Chiron for many, many videos so far in the last couple of months. So it's nothing surprising to me. So there you go. Now, finally, one thing I want to note here is that I don't have a lot of a bead on Russia, but Russia is over here. Ascendant is in the sign of Aquarius, and this whole shemazel flows to the ascendant of Aquarius. That's positive. I like that. And Venus, so there's something going on with Russia. I mean, did I say Russia? China is the ascendant, is Sagittarius, Aquarius. It looks good for things going on in the world regarding China. They just went to France and Hungary and Serbia and made new economic deals or tried to. So we see good developments with China. Putin is scheduled to go see the Russian leader, is scheduled to go see the Xi, the Chinese leader, in the next couple of weeks, supposedly. Again, that could be stories about that in the ethers, in the air, in a positive way. Okay. What else is going on that I need to say about the world? Oh, yes. Saturn. He's a hard ass. He squares this moon. That's the downside of the moon for all of us. Saturn's a task master. He's demanding. He wants discipline, structure, form. He wants boundaries, including water boundaries, including boundaries when we draw political boundaries on a map. That would be very Saturnian, at that kind of one side and the other side, right? Where Mars is cutting, severing, and ending, a boundaried energy would be Saturn. Saturn, let's call it the boundaries that are needed in peace. Okay, who gets what territory would be an example. Water, seashores, Gaza, Mediterranean waters, right? Finally, this is Nessus, the revenge asteroid. Okay, just call it the asteroid of revenge. Saturn, water revenge. Possibly some water revenge stories are going to play out between, could even be near the moon, because it's more of an acute energy around the lunation, around June the 6th, maybe even coming off the May 19th, a North Node conjunction to Mars. We may see some sort of water-borne vengeance. Okay, I'll leave it up to you, in some kind of war conflagration in the world. It is in the chart of Israel, it's the 6th house. Okay, that's kind of like the labor force, the labor markets, etc. But we'll see what it is, all right, because it does have a lot of water energy going on here. All right, we're going to do your sign. I hope that wasn't too long on the overview of what could happen with this, given I was talking a lot about world events here. I didn't mention anything to do with stock markets. I do have some bad feelings about stock markets in general at the end of May, throughout June, but I'm not going to cover that. That's a whole other video. Let's instead look at the situation in our lives. Ask ourselves, how can we bring some kind of wisdom, Jupiter, goodness and peace, and beneficence, Venus, to remedy a problem in each of our lives that needs a fix, it needs a solution? How can we find that solution in the 6 months that follows this moon? And how can we do it in a Rigel-esque way? Oh, I didn't even read from the book. Did I ever read from the book that I was holding up, the little book of fixed stars? What by Elizabeth Hazel? Because what she says about Rigel, in essence, is simply that it is the nature of Jupiter and it is the nature of Mars. But she also mentioned, I can't remember if I said this or not. Sorry, guys. Yes, I did. Disperses information to improve society. That's what I was getting at. Normally, like, my software will say things like brings fortune, goodness, and glory, something like that. Let me look at my actual software delineation. That might help us just be very specific about how the writer of my software decides to delineate the star. And give me a 30-second window of time to pull up the star. Rigel. All right, where did it go? Right at star aspects, Rigel. You're in here. I know you are. Just saw you. Jupiter is also an Alcyon. I didn't mention it, but unfortunately Uranus is on Algol. So I'm going to add a little more delineation. Uranus is at the end, near the end, very end of Taurus on Algol. This is a star that has to do with rotting bodies and corpses and mayhem. So keep that in mind at the time of this moon. And we're talking about the 6 months that follows. And Jupiter is on Alcyon, which is in the Pleiades, and it's about taking charge of one's life. It's advocating for the suffering of others. Okay, well, we can definitely see advocating for the suffering for others as a theme strongly connected to events that are ongoing right now in the world, as people are protesting the hardship of the Palestinian people. The fixed star is Rigel, protesting for them, advocating for them. Fixed star Rigel in this software, which is co-joined with this new beginning and it flavors the energy of the next 6 months, is determination, exceptional levels of ability, and good luck, material prosperity, a star of enterprise, purposeful activity, and business. Okay, business enterprise. Okay, so it's good for a lot of those things in each of our lives. Let's start going through the all signs. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It does indeed help my channel grow. And when my channel grows, I grow. When the channel grows, we all grow. We grow together, okay? Let's all grow together in the story of astrology. And I do love giving you guys this kind of content. I do enjoy it a lot. So helping me to find an enjoyable career path is wonderful. Some of you know that I'm heading off to the El Camino and Portugal. I'm going to visit some friends who live in Portugal as well, and to Spain. But I have to say that some of you also know that I've been busting my ass creating all my June content in the month of May while I'm recording my May content. I can tell you it has been a really long, long haul. All right, Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. I am one of you in the sense that I have a sun and moon. When you're listening for your sun, you may be listening for your purpose and career. Your moon, you're listening for your home and nest and safety needs as well as your body. But when you're listening for your rising sign, potentially it's more accurate because you're listening for everything to do with your life as you stand at the helm of your life, the steering wheel of your life, which is your rising sign, house and degree. So here we have for all of you Aries people, a new beginning as a new moon, as always, a new seed that will fruit and ripen in December of 2024, I believe December the 15th. And so you're looking for a part one of a two-part story, and it looks like you're going to have a planting of a new seed of some luck and prosperity, Rigel, connected to a remedy for something that ails you in your life. Something is difficult and it needs a resolution or solution or a fix, a panacea. And if you want to think of it this way, this panacea that you're looking for may very much ask you to look more deeply at what it is that you really want to communicate in the world, because the third house itself is your writing house. It's also your online world and your social media land where you can broadcast your communications. It used to be newspapers, periodicals, and magazines. It comes from the old ancient idea. This is the house in which the moon has its joy. And the moon is the fastest moving body in the heavens. That it's the gossip part of the chart. It's like someone's coming through, the traveling salesman, for instance, and he has all the news from the village over. It's your local news energy. And so in our modern world, we do this kind of online world news broadcast, and we do, instead of newspapers, we do things that have to do with blogs and websites. And that's a part of this. So you're looking for a remedy for this part of your reality. And it can also be about your ability to sell or market things as well. All said and done, it's a stellium here. It's a lot of beautiful energy, and it's coming off of a Venus star point as well. So you can say, in essence, that this is going to be a new moon that is on steroids from that June 3rd, 4th Venus star point. It has, I'll be doing a whole video on the star point. It has a super luminous quality of good things that want to unfold in your third house. Now, your third house can be other people. It could be a cousin, a sibling, especially younger siblings, a neighbor, a childhood friend. And those elements of your life increase positively, as well as the old fishbowl in which you swim. It's kind of like the daily routines that you go about in your world of your neighborhood and the stores and shops and restaurants you attend. I would say that there's a blessed new beginning in an opportunity around the word neighborhood in the 6 months that follow. And some of you may upgrade, change, or move to a new neighborhood, and it will be much more enjoyable, bountiful, and prosperous in terms of the Venus and the Jupiter narrative. Now, it also may be involving travel over shorter distances. That is the house of short distance travel, or it can be domestic travel, but not sort of exotic, far away travel. And the idea of travel is also receiving a juicy blessing over the 6 months that follow this June 6th. Is travel the remedy that fixes everything? Is writing the remedy that fixes everything? My Aries sun has had 3 dreams, my SON, SUN. I've been dreaming of finding writing opportunities. I even dreamt about having a room of one's own to write. So I'm missing the writing part of my life. Other than my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, I'm missing my writing, okay? And don't forget, if you want to join my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter and you get this video before the end of May, every Sunday I'm having a contest. I announce it on my newsletter and giving away readings, prizes, etc. Now let's get going and say one more thing. It is flowing. It is flowing to the nodes of fate as making a wedge. And so all the turbulence and difficulty you may have felt in the last few months regarding the intensity of things hitting you personally in your sun, your career, in your moon, your home and body, or Aries, your sense of identity with eclipses through this axis here. This is a relief, a breath of fresh air. There is a square to Saturn who wants you to toughen up and be more boundaried in terms of what you're doing in that third house, especially in a way that serves your own soulful, deeper solitudinous essence. Maybe it is requiring some more solitude, some breaking away from the busyness of the third house, to have some contemplative time in your life. Contemplation is the 12th house in a sage-like way, so that what you do in this writing, communicating, marketing, selling, neighbors, neighborhood, trips, travel, skills-based learning, and teaching house is going to be super swell. I'll be skills-based teaching my Skyward Reader course again, 5.0, fifth time this September. I bet you any money Saturn and this new moon are going to help me structure the course a lot better, although it gets better every time I teach it because I will be on the fifth iteration, always improving it, right? All right, moving into the next sign. And one more thing, just one more thing, Aries. Mars is the lord of your sign. And it's kind of nice to look around and see what he's doing anytime something happens in the sky. And he's kind of baked into the house of you for the next 6 months energetically. The lord of your sign is in a gentle witnessing to this moon. So you're kind of down for this energy. You're kind of like, I can make the decisions and take the actions I need to bring bounty, prosperity, and luck to all of my third house relationships and my third house activities, and to things I do in and from my neighborhood. Mars loves to do adventurous moves, including bold travel, but he also just means changes. And there is a gentle change of neighbor or neighborhood coming in the narrative for some of you, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising, that is prosperous and bountiful as well. Oops. You guys know what I'm doing, right? All signs. We're doing Taurus next. I know you're asking me what happened to Taurus. There we go. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, first of all, this is a story that opens up a possibility of some financial prosperity for you. Why not? It is a glorious new moon, planting a seed that goes through till December of 2024, activating more financial flow and glow in your life. Certainly with Mercury watching over from his kingdom, the god of deals and negotiation, Panacea, the remedy for what ails you. It is about money and possessions coming in over the next 6 months that are very fortunate. Jupiter brings luck, Venus brings luck, Jupiter brings bounty, Venus brings bounty. You add Rigel there, and it's that luck, prosperity, glory, and goodness star. You know, I think which of my writers had the really cool words for this star? Riches, happiness, glory, renown. Okay, riches, happiness, glory, and renown by Oscar Hoffman. Do you want some riches, glory, and renown? Well, I wouldn't mind some riches, glory, and renown in your money story. So I have a Taurus sun daughter. I'm looking for the best for her. So how does this work? Where can you get this riches, glory, and new beginnings from this particular gorgeous moon that is also with Rigel, as we said, and also Panacea, the remedy? Well, it could come through the energy of what Jupiter Mercury can bring you. I mean, Jupiter is in a money house as a money god. He'll expand your money. He'll plant golden seeds till next June of new financial opportunity. But he's also flowing to Pluto in the 10th house, and that looks like work and career opportunities connected to prosperity. There is an off chance in his dominion lordship of your 8th house of chunky money that you could get this money through inheritances or family of origin members. The sun rules your family of origin, and some mom or dad or up the line money may come your way in the next 6 months as well. It doesn't mean they have to die. Maybe someone just wants to give you money. I'm happy to give my daughter a ton of money, okay, to help her busy life as a Virgo rising and Taurus sun. Now, energetically, we see that there is so much to say about what Taskmaster Boundary Maker Saturn wants for you here. Technically, he's a tough, stern principal of the school, governess, headmaster, energetic here, but he's in the house of your gains from your career and your larger, longer term goals and plans for your life. Whatever he's saying, one of the main things he'll say here is be realistic, be sober and minded, and let's be serious. Let's be serious. What are those dreams and goals you have? But when it comes to your earnings story and your money from your career and the earnings directly from your career, he could give you a position of authority that allows for that new level of bounty in your earnings and resources house, your second. He could also give you the stability and the determination and the long haul to persevere so that you get that funding, money, job, career thing off the ground. And also, sometimes your larger social groups, your friends, your allies, your benefactors, or an elder sibling is up here. And there's some tension, right? Maybe you're having to cope with or deal with some stressors with that elder sibling, with a friend. At the same time, you are bountiful and prosperous and growing your wealth in the next year. Don't doubt it. I mean, this is glorious. You flow to the nodes of fate. Have you been feeling turbulent with health matters, with work-related stress? Maybe you wanted to leave your job here. Turbulence and difficulty regarding your own addictive self-undoing patterns and habits. If any of that stuff has been bothering you, Taurus, then this is really going to also smooth that out. For the second house where this moon is happening is what you put in your mouth. And the flow to the nodes of fate indicate a turning point energy regarding substances that you ingest or smoke or drink that are not good for you. And it's bountifully positive because Saturn is the strict container that allows for structure and containment of pleasure. Venus in the house of your mouth. Do any of you guys need any kind of dental work? That's also really blessed for the next 6 months for facial rejuvenation and dental work that works very, very well for you. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. It looks like you're having it all about you. Sun is your career, moon is your home, moon is your body, sun is your purpose and father figures. You know the drill, I hope. But of course, rising sign can be more acutely all about you. Simply said, you're having a bonanza of goodness hit you directly. I had a energetic of Gemini. And so today it represents my career. But it's almost like everything, you know that song, Everything's Going Your Way? It says my internet's unstable. Now that I've never seen. Hang on a sec. I've got 5 bars. I hope this video isn't wobbling. That cannot be unstable when I have a 5-bar, setup here. Okay, I'm not that far from the router. Let's hope it holds. I have one more of those signals. Yeeks. Okay. So it's got to be the provider, not the router. Maybe we have another geomagnetic storm. Gemini, what's not to like about it? Okay. Do you want me to read the keywords for Rigel? Benevolence, riches, happiness, glory, renown, inventive energies in the house of you. And it is connected very strongly to Venus's dispensation for peace, harmony, and prosperity, as well as Jupiter's all-over blessing of luck and goodness, expansion and growth. And with Mercury here watching over the show, ideally, you're coming up with bounteous new ideas. He's in the house of his joy over the next 6 months that allow for a greater sense of expansion and thrival for yourself, but also in matters where Pluto is in a whole sign flow to do with a deeper meaning in your life, including book publishing. The sun rules your house of writing, and book publishing is where Pluto is in your 9th house. Some of you may go in that direction, as well as blessed, powerful opportunities occurring that power you up around foreign shore and domestic travel, as well as projects revolving writing. and communicating. Now, with the south node, north node axis being flowing energies like a wedge from the new moon here at 16 degrees of Gemini, you're finding this to be a kind of soothing of a turbulence in the next 6 months that you experience regarding your fifth house and 11th. Fifth house is surely the enjoyment and pleasures and fun and inspiration of life. And there's been a hole in your you're not having fun. It's a leaky toilet here. It's a leaky sink. You can't keep the water of joy in. And you probably felt like that since the South Node entered here last year in July and will leave in January of this year. But things start to look up as the joy quotient can be improved. Thank you, joyful Jupiter, jovial Jove, and lovely Venus. And you may also, any turbulence you've had in your career gains directly, your long-range plans for your career or social groups of belonging and friends, that kind of chironic wound up here is also being resolved over the next 6 months. Thank you to this new moon. The moon is you. You are having a lunation in your house of you. So again, if it's your moon, it can be about home and body matters. And if it's your sun, Gemini, of course, it's about your career and purpose. Now, reminders, it's happening in your house, right? In the sign of you. So this is a very intense and positive new turning point for all of the Gemini positions of sun, moon, and rising. Finally, taskmaster Saturn is in a square from the top of the sky. He's the one who's been grinding for you. You're working way too hard. You want to be authoritative, masterful, and at the top of a mountain of success in your career space, but it has been maybe challenging, or the boss here or someone in a superior position in your work is giving you some tension during the next 6 months. At the end of the day, Saturn has some sagacity, and he's trying to give you stable, lasting, enduring ways of being successful in your career through to February 26. Listen to him. Don't just ignore the pressure that he's putting on you to consider what is joyful, what is vitalizing, what is prosperous in a way that brings you a sense of goodness. Keywords for this moon, not just say racking up the dough. All right, moving into the next sign. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. The moon is happening in your subtle 12th house. It's happening on June the 6th. It will run until December of next year, of 24, the next 6 months. And if you have any spiritual practice or you're leaning into spiritual liberation and awakening, and you have the greater and lesser benefic attending a birth of a new moon, a remedy, a cure for what ails you is here. Holy man, what's to complain about? Your spiritual life will get an uplift. So will your time alone and solitude and solitudinous contemplative activities are also blessed over the next 6 months. If you're one of those rarer people like me who makes international borderless income and revenue because you are, say, working digitally, then this is going to increase that prosperity over the course of the next 6 months. Bed pleasures are here. Venus is a goddess of sexuality and sensuality and pleasure. So your bed pleasures, Saturn, Jupiter, are increasing on our magnitude of order that is not normal. It's a remedy for what ails you. Like, I hate to say menopause ails us, but if you're a woman listening to this and you thought menopause is ailing your pleasurable bed pleasures, then this is the remedy, the cure-all. It's a solution for that, whatever is ailing you. Technically as well, because we see the flow to Pluto in the 8th house, which can be very sexual tantric intimacy as well. We can see some new kind of depth of intimacy and bed pleasure energy picking up over the course of 6 months ahead for many of you. And if what ails you is solitude, cutting into your bed pleasures even, maybe that's what is going to be remedied. Now, you have this kind of remediation as well, or ease and healing around the stressors of the nodal axis that began to activate your chart last July and will complete this January of 25. And that is that there's a lot of intensity going into the question and answer period. Is this my purpose? And is this the work I want to do? Because this inflammation of the Chiron North Node and Mars has been very active, just as this moon picks up, it could indicate that you have a sense of really having to focus on making decisions and taking actions that alleviate some of this career purpose stress energy. Now, it's good to expand and grow, and maybe you have been in your career, but the chironic wound is in a very critical turning point since 2019, a question of healing a wound of reputation or purpose may have been ongoing for many cancers, especially rising. The South Node stressor is, should I stay in my home? Should I let it go? Is there sadness, loss, and disappointment, surrender in the home, of the home, with relationships in the home? And that means anyone you live with, your children, if they're living with you, disappointment and loss there, things to do with your significant other or whoever you're living with, your roommates as well. It may have been a place of having to really let go, let God, and surrender in the face of difficulty. While you also get Taskmaster Saturn trying to create some solid boundaries in a water sign. Good luck, right? You may need to look at the ninth house as spiritual path. I mean, in terms of a more formal religious or mystical path, because that is what this house really is. It's called the house of God. It's your ninth house. What is it you want to do here that's going to give you a more solid spiritual structure? What is the architecture of your spiritual belief? What is the scaffold for your spiritual practice? And even if you don't think you want one, a lot of you might get one in the 6 months that follows the June 6th moon. If you're all involved in foreign travel, foreign shores, academics, court and legal matters, maybe even book publishing, there is a pressure from Saturn to get something structured and focused on. And because the 12th house is what we do when no one's looking, and it's like, backroom deals and negotiations, is often where the artists are busy writing a book or the creatives are cobbling their things together out of sight. It's like before the curtain opens, what's backstage? And what's backstage is you being very creative, because don't forget, Venus is an artistic god, and you could be involved in a very big creative project involving mercurial matters. Usually writing or communicating would be a Mercury energy here over the 6 months that follow, and pressure from Saturn to bring really good, lasting, enduring results from all of this creative energy that you're engaging with in the next 6 months. All right, Leo, sun, moon, and rising. Here we have a beautiful, gorgeous stellium, Venus bejeweled moon in your 11th house. Now, Venus is going to bring good things here. She will be invisible, by the way, which I didn't mention until July, but it's still a 6-month story. And it is about your greater gains from your career, specifically raises, promotions, salary, bonus payments, but also just directly reputation, accolades, employee of the month awards. If you're an actor, it's your Academy Awards moment. That 11th house glory is also your karmic rewards, is getting a big uplift. So that's going to be beautiful energy to experience in the 6 months that follow. On the other hand, this is your groups of friends. This is who you hang with in larger event settings, larger social circles, not just your bestie on the sofa at night, eating popcorn close to home. That's more like a third house friend, but rather the larger networks of people you wish to associate with by choice, clubs even. This is expanding for you and growing a larger group of belonging. And it's exciting because it's a remedy for something that's ailed you. Like maybe you felt like you haven't been making enough money. Maybe you felt like your career success was muted in the last while. Maybe you've been feeling like your social groups are not the thing you want. You don't have the right groups to belong to. Anyway, there's a remedy. You wanted to join the tennis club and they wouldn't accept you, the golf club, the country club. And now the remedy, the solution is at hand in the 6 months that follow. And an elder sibling belongs here, and an elder sibling may benefit you greatly in the next 6 months, as well as a friend who treats you like a little sis or little brother. They want to be an ally for you or a benefactor, and those types of people are stepping out to help you over the next 6 months in whatever needs to be helped. All right. You also could note here in this lunation that you have a flow to Pluto in the 7th, and you could be bringing more wealthy and powerful people into your social groups and circles during the 6 months that follow the moon. And you can also note the planet Saturn squaring this lunation, giving you some pressure regarding some financial matters to do with other people's money. That could include money you share with a spouse, taxes, the government, banks, and mortgages. Now, 11th house money is money too, right? It's gains from the career money. And the eighth house money. So there's some way to having to structure your career gains money in a very solid way, including maybe tax structures, for example. And you're finding resolution to a challenging part of the sky that really picked up speed last year in July, and that is the nodes of fate. Now, you've had some disappointments or losses or challenges perhaps where you have to let go a bit when it comes to that sibling relationship, or especially a younger one, situations with childhood friends, neighbors, or even some disappointment regarding your neighbor's neighborhood, travel opportunities, or learning situations. And you've been stressing out maybe a bit to push yourself into more success and ambition in the ninth house, which is also learning institutions and also foreign travel, also journeys abroad, also things to do with court matters and father figures. And that part of your chart has been a little bit like a stressor cooker of eclipses. And now and especially with Chiron in the ninth house, you're really looking for a deeper spiritual meaning in your life, actually. But you may have a Chironic wound around education, and this fills in the gaps and maybe gives you a blessed opportunity, a lucky break to go back to a school, to reapply for a school, to win in a court matter, to take that trip abroad that you really wanted, but maybe couldn't do, to strengthen a relationship with a father figure. Technically as well, last thing I want to say about the 11th house stellium and Rigel and remedy and all of that. It is a bit of a wish fulfillment house, right? It's all your long range goals and dreams, but you could say wishes. And you have a fairy godmother, Venus, and father, Jupiter. It's possible you might look back to some degree and think the 6 months that followed this new moon, a lot of my bucket list or my longer range dreams, goals, and wishes for my life have been coming true, have been coming true. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. My daughter's one of you. My best friend's one of you. I'm surrounded by Virgo rising. Here's the deal. This is about your career space. I mean, my daughter's graduating from school and she's all worried that her friends told her she's never going to get a good job anymore, that there's no jobs out there for her, graduating from university. I know, realistic friends, let's call it that. But I told her, no, this is happening. This is an amazing career success story for you in the 6 months that follows this new moon with Rigel. It is so beautiful. It is riches, happiness, glory, and renown in the career space. It is a remedy for what ails you. My daughter's grinding at a gym job and she's got these terribly early shifts at 4 a.m. and it's ailing her. She's going to have a remedy for the stressors in the work environment, career environment. It's going to be a positive flow. And it's going to try to really open up a door or a window here of something extremely positive. It could be you get your dream job. It could be that you get hired at a new level of salary or authority. It could be that you are able to apply for some work that is your golden ticket to success. You don't even have to try here. It's lucky. Lucky breaks in work, career, and reputation matters for all of you, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. There's no two ways about it. I love, love, love this for you. You cannot go wrong, okay? You cannot go wrong. Now, what else can I tell you? The flow and the glow to Pluto in your sixth house speaks to powerful work opportunities, lucky breaks, etc. Now, Mercury's up here. He's a negotiating master. You can negotiate a new contract, a new deal in your work. You can get a, raise or promotion through the spirit of your verbal acuity and prowess of persuasion. Anytime you see Venus and Mercury together, it's like being, you could sell, snow to the Inuit. You're literally highly persuasive and you can get what you want in the work and career space, not just on the moon of June 6th, but through till December when the after effects keep on rolling out for you, unfolding, unfurling, and rolling out. And you've been a little stressed in the money story. South Node second house transit last July through all the way until January indicates you've been feeling disappointed or stressed or maybe even just having to let go of a level of financial success, savings, earnings, possessions. Maybe some of you let go of a possession, had to sell something in order to be financially okay. You're pressing a lot of energy into how money can make money, banking, mortgage loans. My daughter got her first credit card. You're trying to extend money by sharing money with your spouse. All of that is there for all of you Virgos, but there's still an underlying fear that your resources are not enough, and you really are asked to lean into trust and surrender. Worry not. With this flow from Venus to the South Node in her kingdom, yes, you are going to be fine. And everybody's talking to the North Node. More chunky money coming your way in the next 6 months. End of story. Some of it could come from father figures as well. Money from father figures in the next 6 months. It is also noted that you've got some Uranian pressure from your spouse. Now that may be them. This is a significant other relationship if you have one. They may be going through a time of hardship, disappointment, fear, anxiety. My daughter's boyfriend just lost his job, laid off, or a time of needing that person may feel like they're melancholic or hard-assed or burdened, and their pressure of that, the way they are, may be impacting you in a negative way in the next 6 months. You've got the upper hand. You've got like a freaking, what do you call it in poker? A full house, right? So you can be more of assistance to them, but you might need to be more structured and organized in how you approach your marketplace, your clients, and your audience, as well as how you work with your main partner, because Saturn's testing whether this relationship has grounds to stand on. It does, and it will ask you the question through to February of 26. It started last year in March, so keep that in mind. But I do think that with your career juice in that 10th house, you have absolutely nothing to worry about in your resources, money, and career story as everything begins to turn around in the 6 months ahead. Now, I'm stopping the share just for a second. You guys know the drill. It might be a dark chocolate break. I think it might be. I'll be right back. And on we go. By the way, I found a new dark chocolate. Well, I'm a dark chocolate junkie. And when I was in Mexico in Puerto Vallarta, I got the most amazing dark chocolate in the airport at a chocolatier, like making local handcrafted dark chocolate that was exquisite. And I bought some of the stuff in Mexico, like leaving at the, what do you call it, the duty free. It was awful, very waxy. I kind of suspected it would be. For mass consumption. But boy, when you get a really well done dark chocolate by some person using like raw chocolate or 80% dark and sea salt, there's no other thing to say but incredible. Incroyable. June the 6th, 2024, we're finishing up with Virgo. Oh, I finished. Now we're moving into the next sign. Virgo, you just had the best reading ever. So yay, you, yay, you. I don't know what to call this. Glorious new moon, glorious plentiful. What do I call this moon? Anyone have ideas? I've already named it. Glorious riches and happiness moon. I don't want to oversell it. Alrighty. Venus is meeting a bejeweled Venus is decorating a new moon at 16 degrees of the sign of Gemini. This is happening on June the 6th and at Libra sun, moon, and rising. It is quite simple. This is a flowing story to your Libra identity. Now, I know a lot of Libras who've had a lot of trouble experiencing a South Node transit through the body, Libra rising, moon, home and nest and body, and sun, career and purpose. In fact, my daughter's Libra partner who she lives with just got laid off, and that's his son, his Libra son, right? So yeah. So you can see that sometimes it's been a little turbulent as the South Node wisens you up, asks you to be more spiritual and let go of all the greedy and grabby things of the world. But it's not always easy. And sometimes people are tired, overworked, or what do you call it when all the energy goes out of your body and your being? It's kind of like malaise or inertia or run down. So this has been hitting a lot of Libra since last summer in July. Doesn't complete till January of 2025, sorry. But this moon gives you a bright spot that lasts about 6 months. So starting June 6th till December 15th, we see a turnaround story. I do anyway, because what Venus is doing as she hugs this new moon with the asteroid Panacea, the remedy for what ails you, is flowing to the hardship part of the narrative and giving it in an applied way. She's going to open up something positive here. You might, for instance, get a beautiful new opportunity abroad. You could even get some work or a career opportunity in a foreign shore or foreign country or with an international company. These are words that belong to the ninth house if you need that kind of thing. Ideal for getting accepted at your favorite university or college. Ideal for things to do with your spiritual faith and belief, ideal for legal and court matters and judges favoring you in the next 6 months. And if you're in the book publishing industry, of course, that's going to be exceptional. And it's almost like a social party up there in the ninth house of foreign lands, foreigners, and foreign shores. This is June the 6th. My girlfriend's a Libra. Her name is Renn. She's a shaman. She'll be on the El Camino with a bunch of women, 12 of us traveling together. I mean, 12 participants plus me and her and the organizer traveling together, all women on the El Camino during the June 6th new beginning, new moon. There's a possibility here if you are trying to apply for a school or a college, this is a story of success, and that you may even be a late applicant admission, or anytime between now and December, applications to higher learning educational centers can go extremely well. You have a kind of a flow to the sixth house of committed love. You've been wounded there since 2019. Maybe your love life, your committed love life has been on hold. Now we see a solution resolution. And I hate to say it, but Venus could bring you a love story while traveling abroad, or love in a foreign land, or a beautiful, lucky, prosperous opportunity in the ninth house. It's going to be a remedy for what ails you up there. You want to think about the ninth house is like, do you feel like your life is meaningful? Other than book publishing, which is up there too, do you have a sense of meaning in your life? And if you do not, then this is bringing a deeper sense of purpose, meaning, dharmic alignment for you in the 6 months that follow. I do not think that it is a bad thing to have a trine to Pluto in the house of sexuality, romantic love, children. This is a house of grandchildren. So some of you may be hearing about grandchildren. You may be juicing up your sex life. And you might also be getting married. So proposals for marriage, getting married, these can be stories also going on in this part of your chart. All right, now what else? There's some pressure from Lord Saturn, okay? Or your child could get accepted at their major favorite university if you have an adult child. This is Saturn in your sixth house of work and work routines, in a pressure square to the new moon, the new beginning here. There may be work obligations or, boss, office, colleague, employee obligations or structures that are so formidable. They feel like you're being pressured to create boundaries by Saturn regarding the work matters, and in a connection to the beautiful energy of your ninth house. So, for example, what if somebody wanted to publish a book or write a book, but they had to work? And how do you find that work balance between the avocational publishing and the working energy? That kind of thing. Or there could be, even though there's so much bounteous opportunity and goodness up there, because don't forget the moon is the ruler of your 10th house of career, you may find there's some hardship at the same time in the work environment, a bit of a push-pull combination in the next 6 months. Your health and your wellness belongs to the sixth house, as well as rental and tenancy agreements, as well as pets. These matters are causing a little bit of challenge to what is otherwise a beautiful glow-up story. And if you've been having challenges in a long-term communication, with a communication with a long-term love partner, you're already in a relationship, this wedge is going to open a red carpet rollout to improve that relationship significantly over the next 6 months, with new agreements, new commitments, new shared faith, new shared spiritual values. Okay, that sort of thing. All right, let's keeping on and talk about Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Scorpio, this is a narrative that gives you a beginning, a new start, a fresh beginning on June 6th. It can roll out this new moon for up to 6 months as a panacea, remedy, the cure for what ails you in your chunky money. Now, hey, that's like everything: mortgages, bank loans, credit cards, taxes, tax rebates, if it comes in a good way, insurance payouts, inheritances, investment monies, money you share with your significant other. Wow. Wow, wow. Now, I'm just going to say a lot of Scorpio rising, especially Sun and Moon secondarily, maybe up for an inheritance between this year's movement on the 25th of May of Jupiter into your eighth house through to June 9th of next year. Just keep that in mind because this is a new beginning with a stellium on steroids, looking like financial opportunities can come in unexpected, unearned income chunks to you over the course of the 6 months that follows the new moon. And also, possibly, we've got that glorious Rigel. It is a star that involves glory and riches. And so, glory and riches and new beginnings. And Venus says, double down on that. And Jupiter goes, dreams come true, anyone, fairy godfather, in a chunky money area of your sky. And a Lord Mercury watching over this means all the dots are crossed and all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted in contractual agreements around that kind of money, especially with Pluto flowing from the eighth house. It can indicate legacy wealth through the passing of a father figure, perhaps, or a lunar figure, a mother figure. But whoever is leaving the storyline, it can lead to some great abundance. The house of fortune, good fortune, which can include some financial luck, is Saturn. Saturn often represents an elder person. So we're not talking about, you're listening, you're 25 and your mom is 45, or your dad is 45. This is a Senex, an aged elder, owns the Pluto legacy wealth house, squares the chunky money house. So you may have some grandparent or a very elderly adult parent maybe bequeathing you money. Now, do they have to pass for that? People get scared. No, maybe they're going to give you money. Maybe they're going to create a trust fund, a living trust, something like that. If you want to get money from selling something, that works. You can really do well if you want to sell a property, okay? And you could get like that kind of perfect dream contract, okay? The perfect amount of the perfect offer on the property, okay? Why not? Or you want to buy a property and you manage to get the dream contract. And I think when I say dream contract, I mean like, wow, like it's going to go so smoothly. Escrow, etc. at all. Things go very well. I would say to you, you can't go wrong. Buying, selling real estate will go very well as renting property. The North Node in the sixth house of rentals and rental agreements is sitting there. Quite possibly anything to do with rentals is going to flow to your situation. And I think you're going to do very, very well in buying, selling, and renting property, getting money from a family member, a legacy wealth person, something like that. And I think the pressure energy of Saturn in the fifth house could be pressure from a lover or a child, and it may impact some of the enjoyment you're having of this chunky money success. Keep that in mind. Fifth house Saturn can also just be, well, it could be matters that are impeding your enthusiastic enjoyment of your entrepreneurial business and creativity. You might be so darn busy. I think that you're going to do really, really well here in your money. And I think Saturn can give you a boundary, a borderline, and a wall around things to do with how you would invest that money or speculate with it. I mean, because if you come into some chunky money, Saturn's saying, let's be really careful with it. Because speculation and risk taking is a fifth house thing, gambling, buying risky stocks, etc. All right, we're moving on to the next sign, okay? Now, the next part of the story is this. No, I'm done with you guys. Sorry, I'm a little spacey today. If you've been having trouble you've been having trouble or been stressed out, Scorpios, regarding health matters, work matters, or rental matters, North Node's pressuring you here, and Mars is in domicile, which is nice and strong. Changes in rental situations, pet situations, health situations, and work environment situations are on the mend in the next 6 months as well. Sagittarius. Sun, moon, and rising. What we've got going on here is a beautiful, illustrious, gorgeous, Venus bejeweled new moon that brings wealth, prosperity, and luck and happiness in the house of marriage. So if you're single and you meet somebody new and you want to try to meet them, then go for it. Anytime, honestly, between June 6th and December of next year, new moon to full moon, this is going to be a glorious and positive new relationship. It's the remedy or the panacea for what ails you in your house of marriage. If you're in a relationship and it's been having challenges, this also soothes and smooths the relationship up, gives it a whole glow up. And if you are somebody who's a Sagittarius who has an audience marketplace environment with whom you reach out to, your client's audience marketplace in your 10th house from your 10th house work, then this is also going to get a glow up where you have a lot of excitement and a busy stories with those customers and clients over the next 6 months. Now, the sun and the moon are forging a new beginning here. And Venus is bringing the element of love. It would be so unusual for any of you Sagittarius. You have to have a very debilitated natal Venus not to find an improvement in the sociability and enjoyment and pleasure within a committed long-term love story or in the beginning of a new one. And we also see the flow to Pluto in the third house. This can allow over the next few months significant, powerful energies through siblings or travel opportunities or learning or writing projects as well, especially if you put those projects into the audience and marketplace. Maybe you're podcasting, maybe you're on the radio talking about your book. Maybe you're traveling a lot with the one you love, especially longer term trips as well. Sun rules also foreign destinations, so maybe foreign destinations with the one you love. With the energy here of the North Node, South Node axis forming a wedge to the nodes of fate, you are looking at the energy of some sort of soothing of where you felt turbulence regarding your children, regarding your romantic life, regarding things to do with having to let go of social groups of friends of belonging, especially that because Venus owns the territory and this new beginning, new moon, she's blessing that. So things to do with socialization, groups of friends, allies and benefactors, elder sibling and younger sibling relationships are glowing up for you over the course of the 6 months that follow. Square from Saturn, alone in the home, hardship in the home, heavy burdens in the home, an elder in the home, heaviness and melancholy in the home, a lonely and lone in the home energies, or just hardship at the home. You had to get an architect to rebuild something, or you had to get a builder, structural engineer or something into your home. These stress points of Saturn in this part of your chart since last March through to February of 2026 are happening. However, this is going to give you a release, but there's pressure here too. Venus and Jupiter have intense power with Lord Mercury to resolve a legal matter or contractual agreement regarding home and home matters, to find the perfect buyer if needed to sell a home that's been a hardship for you, to reconcile some of the difficulty you've had by being alone or lonely at home or isolated or feeling like the outsider in the home, finding a new way of fixing that through the relational house of the seventh, new committed long-term love, deeper and more profound and enjoyable friendships perhaps as well. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising over the next few years, I don't know, over the next 6 months from the June 6th moon, there is a narrative of beautiful Venus bejeweled, bedecked positivity that opens up everything for you in the workhouse. Now, this can mean the work environment, the colleague coworker space. It is beautiful. Maybe there's a new office for the company. Maybe there's new people coming in that you adore. There's new friendships. There's new bounty and love in that environment over the next 6 months. Also, it's about prosperity in the work story. So work prosperity, luck, and opportunity unfolding. Panacea, the remedy for what ails you. Have you been ailed by this, like no good workspace, no good work, no work at all? Have you been unemployed? This is going to give you grace here. And all good things will emerge in the next 6 months after the new moon. You may also find that with Pluto in the second house of resources, including money and possessions, flowing to the 6th house, you could possess more money as a result of this glow up in the workspace, work environment, colleague, coworker stories. It is also a house of pets, also a house of rental opportunity. With a flow to the North Node and Mars in the 4th house, new rental situations for leasing or being a tenant or a landlord are opening up in a very positive way. You may get a new pet out of this. That would be beautiful. It would be a lucky, blessed, fortunate choice for your life at this juncture. The sixth house is your health, and that's going to improve any health challenges that have been bothering you. This is a house of sickness. We have a glorious, positive new beginning to remedy those challenges that may have happened to you around health and health matters. The flow to the nodes of fate are definitely indicating some new career success, but it may involve travel from home, Mars North Node, journeys from home, or even expat or foreign country or foreign entities that are taking you to some new career opportunities in the next 6 months. Certainly, maybe a destined change of home through career and work opportunities may also be in the cards in the next 6 months for you. Saturn is giving a little bit of stink eye to this whole thing in a square from the Pisces realm, where he's been since last March and will be till 2026. This can indicate a hardship with a sibling, a hardship with a neighbor, neighborhood environment, some hardship or constraint maybe around your travel opportunities, or even hardship and constraint involving situations to do with your online world. If any of these things have felt difficult for you, or skills-based learning classes and courses you wish to take, if anything has felt really, really hard in this area of the sky, maybe this is going to actually be a bit of a tension that breaks the problem, because Panacea is the remedy. Like travel and work challenges, siblings and health challenges, short distance travel challenges connected to health or work matters, for example. Travel challenges connected to pets. You can't get your pet on the airplane. They've changed the rules. These can be fixed or softened up in the next 6 months. And it's not a bad place to start dating someone if you're a single Cap, because Venus, of course, will move into the 7th house of committed love, and then next year Jupiter. So this is a runway for dating. And if you want to start dating someone, it'll be a karmic relationship. They'll have a sense of destiny to it, but it also could be a good runway for new relationship for single Caps to begin dating. Aquarius, I am one of you. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. First thing I want to say is that you've got this gorgeous energy in the house in which Venus has her joy. She's in her joy in the 5th house. It's pregnancy, fertility, creativity, artistic endeavors, the muse. It's your entrepreneurial business. It's your sexual and romantic life. Aquarius, it is going to be a good 6 months. I'm an Aquarius rising. Oh my God, sun and moon, you can listen to. Now, this is where you have to know your chart. My IC, which represents my nest at home in the whole sign house system, floats in the 5th house. In other words, it's not anchored to a cusp of the 4th. And so I also could say for someone like me, the nuance is a beautiful, bounteous, expansive, lucky new home, right? But it's still about love, romance, and my children. And it is a fertility signature for me. I'm not going to have a baby and get pregnant at 62, but we could be pregnant Aquariuses no matter what age with a project, a creative project, our entrepreneurial business and directions we want to take it. And we're like pregnant with some possibility that's very fortunate over the next 6 months. Money luck belongs here, especially gambling, speculation, casinos, lottery tickets, risky games of chance. And Mercury is here. Buy the ticket, Venus is here. The luck, the happiness, the riches are here. Why not? So this is a blessed time on that new moon of June the 6th to actually be thinking about perhaps buying a ticket and planting that seed. But maybe in the 6 months that follow, the idea of winning money becomes very alive for you. Indeed, I have a lottery ticket to do with a hospital lottery here. I think the draw is in July. And if I win, I'll let you guys know. But with this new moon stellium, I don't know why I wouldn't. Now there's a remedy for what ails you, but it's the house of your children, and especially the firstborn. So it could be very blessed, exciting, positive developments for your children, including the pregnancy possibility for one of your children, whether a guy or girl, it doesn't matter. They or their partner could become pregnant, and you might be looking at a choice point in their lives that leads to you being a grandparent. Venus rules your 9th house of grandchildren. And for some of you, this is looking very likely. Now, the flow to Pluto is your Pluto power. I mean, you don't suffer any fools gladly, let alone your own self. And right now, this power is surging through you to be transforming your very own core identity. And as this is happening in the next 20 years, you can, and I didn't even talk about the asteroid soul, like Psyche soul in here. I forgot to use her, but she's flowing here to this whole story as well. Where's the soul of joy and happiness? Happiness and joy is the fifth house, fun, play, and pleasure. And if you're an Aquarius and you haven't been having fun, and that's the remedy, the cure-all is coming in. Play, fun, joy, and pleasure, sex, romance, creativity is coming in for you in the next 6 months for sure. We could also note that the tension you've been having with this intense expansion and focus in the third house, trips, travels, siblings, online world, writing projects, your website, all of that, that's been very much a chironic wound, especially short distance travel, maybe wounded there, maybe wounded in neighborhood stories, childhood friends. Chiron entered here and started to wound that part of our chart in 2019. I lost 3 girlfriends, 2 I would consider like the close friends of the third house who died since 2019. This chironic wound is going to have a revealing healing here. And this new moon can be a part of it because it flows to the North Node, Chiron's story in the third house. Over the 6 months, some healing there as well. And maybe a change, Mars, of neighborhood can happen for some of us. There's a lot of tension with Saturn in the house of earnings, resources, and possessions, and you've been feeling constrained or heavy or responsible or dutiful. Saturn is trying to give a structure for money and savings, resources, and financial wellness through to 2026. This began last March. Well, this is not bad. Saturn's the Lord of our sign, and he does the best he can for us, but we could feel heavy and weighted around those financial resources and the matters thereof. And this is a tension point, even as we're having fun, play, joy, and pleasure. So, for example, one of your children needs some money from you, but you're like clinging to it. Or you win the lottery, but you're really worried about the structural things, what you have to do with it in order to claim it, or how you can invest it safely, right? Saturn witnesses your house of investing. Mercury is a house of investing, stock markets, banks, mortgages, and loans. Any kind of financial bounty, Saturn would wish you to be very cautious and realistic and conservative in what you do with any kind of good fortune that comes your way. This is a pleasure house. Pleasurable good fortunes that come your way with Venus in her joy. Saturn has got his hand on the purse strings and is asking for conservation of resources and sustainable approaches to long-term wealth. At a practical note, if you won the lottery, it could literally be about getting an advisor about investment and saving strategies around the bounty. All right, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We're going to see what we can do here in your home and property and real estate narrative of the 4th house, where you're going to have happiness, luck, and riches, and lasting honors and glory. What is it? Are you going to beautify your home with Venus here in the next 6 months and this new moon on the 6th of June? Are you going to have a female live or move into your home that brings you a great deal of joy? Are you going to have more romance and love in the home? Are you going to interior decorate the home? Are you going to get a bigger, more spacious home or a more joyful and happy home? Some of you may, especially if your IC is in the 4th house and your MC is in the 10th house, using the whole sign house system. This is one of the many reasons you need to convert to whole sign houses. Your IC can be floating in houses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's very rare, but it can happen on the phalanges of 1 and 7. You'd be born in like the North Pole or something. Now, you needed a remedy for something that's ailing you, right? You've been feeling there's something not working in the home. So my Pisces rising sister has been trying to sell a home with her partner and move into an inherited home from his father over the last 6 months. It's been a problem. They haven't sold. They had to redo some fixes on the house, redecorate. And so the remedy to the problem is the sale of the home. And with the North Node in the house of possessions and Mars and his dignity, taking possession of a new home and selling an old home is very positive for anyone as a Pisces engaged in those things. Possibly a little bit of a less money than you want, South Node in the chunky money house, but still a positive outcome here. It could also be just something to do with how you enjoy home. Suddenly, over the next 6 months, you are just like the happiest person you've ever seen in and from your home base. You're spending more time enjoying your home life. And Mercury is the ruler of your 7th house of marriage, where you have the commitment goddess. That's also the real estate contract there. And therefore, real estate contracts, yes, but also, maybe just more enjoyment in your house with your significant marriage type partner, if you have one. You have had you will have, um, you've been ambitiously pursuing more money. You've been wounded in the money house since 2019. Since last year, you realize there's a problem here. This North Node moved in here and inflamed the wound. And that's like last May or July. And it's through till January of next year that you're really trying to heal this wound about your financial resourcefulness and maybe things about what you eat and ingest. So keep that in mind. There is a turning point in those matters as well. And with Pluto flowing from the 12th house, you might get a foreign buyer for your home. You might have some kind of profound turnaround story regarding some pleasures in your life and how they're more deeply, truly the power of love and spiritual energy to do with especially oral pleasures here, right? You can see that Pluto's here flowing in a whole sign house to the second that flows to the fourth. So things that you ingest, change of food style, change of dietary style for some of you will be very important and very much impact your health for the better as a result of this new moon. Maybe you're going to start doing some kind of, I don't know. Venus loves, cooking in the home and enjoyment of food in the home and sociability in the home, having friends over, having people visit. That looks like might very much open up June the 6th at 6 months. My sister is going to come to visit my other sister and I in a home I rented, a cottage in Ontario. And this is also your childhood home. And she'll spend some time in her childhood home with me and my other sister. And that is playing out in the month of June into July. But the longer story is the one I gave you guys. It's not just what happens, June 6th, add a month or add 2 weeks. It's what happens between June the 6th and December. Finally, you are Saturnian, you are tough-minded, taskmaster of your own reality, realistic. You are getting more structured. Some of you might feel heavy, melancholic, burdened, or anxious with the Saturn transit that began last March and ends next year in January. But nonetheless, this Saturnian disposition, you might be raining on your own parade. You might be looking at all the goodness it wants to find you in the fourth house of your childhood home, friends and family, uh, connections and beauty and joy in the home, fun, play, pleasure, and romance in the home. And you might just be skeptical. Honestly, this kind of Saturn disposition would be like, I'll believe it when I see it. All right. So let's see what happens with that. Otherwise, Saturn can help you make form and structure regarding home matters. Again, are you constructing building or something like that? Are you possessing a new piece of furniture, Mars, that needs a multiple instructions to put together and you're taking the task at heart? Oh, to me, it looks like some of you are building and constructing and changing things in the home as well over the next 6 months to make them more beautiful, functional, and enjoyable. All right. Thanks for listening. All of you, I'm glad that I got through this today. I'm recording on May 15th. I covered a slight touch on world events, not much. I can't see that far ahead, honestly, nor do I wish to. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you guys in the next video, which I have no idea what it is because I'm having to front load all this stuff before I go away. Ciao, ciao.